Obviously we can't contravene local or national policies that are in place, but to be fair, we haven't really sought to. I don't think there's been anything that we've wanted to do. You know, we have no desire to impact affordable housing quotas and what have you. But the areas where perhaps it's actually been a little bit easier is that the council have a lot of supplementary planning guidance that they really value and would like to incorporate more formally, but as yet perhaps has just remained as guidance. And so actually where we think we can help is by pulling in some of that guidance and making it law as such. So I think actually it might actually be almost the other way round, in that we think rather than become another level of planning that becomes an issue for the council, actually we may well help them to solve things, because at the moment, because it's guidance, it's just not being consistently applied. So for example, the design guide, we think that's a really valuable document. Actually so do the council, but it's currently a document that's been not gone through consultation, hasn't had that sort of public thumbs up. The council haven't officially authorised it either, but actually they value it too. So we are seeking to bring as much as we can that's relevant and we think appropriate into the actual planning policies, which means that the council then can say, brilliant, we can now rely on this.
Any planning document is a tool. It's how do you do development in this area, and it's got to be. We've not written this down in a kind of. It must do this, the 3 commandments, but it's got to be usable by developers and their designers. It's got to be usable by the city officers and the planning committee, and it's got to be usable for the man or woman in the street who can understand it. Because if you want to look at a planning application in your area and say, do I support this or not, you need to know the rules against which it's been viewed. So if we can keep it pretty plain and simple, clear English. We've thankfully got a journalist on the group who's going to go through it and say, this all makes
you're
nonsense.
babbling at this point.
Just spell it out nice and clear, and just make it a tool. Because I was at a talk the other day which was not about neighbourhood planning, but something struck a chord, and it was about Birmingham's big city plan. And the question was, is it any good, or what value is it for you as a developer, as an investor? And he said, it's great because I know exactly what the city wants to do now. Before, I didn't. So you ask one part of the council one thing, you ask a business, you get another answer. Whereas the big city plan says, this gives me certainty of investment. And I think, hopefully, a neighbourhood plan will be able to do that, because if someone's thinking of buying a building in the Jewellery Quarter or developing a site, they've got that tool there and saying, right, I'm a high-rise developer, I'll have a look at the Jewellery Quarter, I'm probably not going to get away with that, so I'll go somewhere else. Someone else comes in and goes, right, this fits the bill perfectly. What I do, I can do in the Jewellery Quarter.
It's bringing together that at the moment there are a lot of this information and evidence and research is actually out there, but it's scattered to the 4 winds, and so actually you're right, it will become like a prospectus. Obviously with the plan you've got part 1, which is policy, and our part 2 is very much the dream. This is why these policies have been put together, because this is what we're trying to achieve. So if it all goes to plan and pardon the pun, then this is what we will achieve. And you're right, that's like a prospectus that allows both the developer, business and also resident to say, actually, I like that, I buy into this area, and then I know what I need to do to play my part as well. That even when we've got that part 2 that's the dream, I think it will almost be able to be read from different angles, because there are people who there are some people who want it to be a bit like Harborne, and they want to arrive, they want it, the nice property, They want a little park nearby, so St Paul's Square, for example, fits that bit of greenery, and they can walk their kids and go to a butcher's and a baker's, and you know, it's all very nice and local, and it feels very upmarket and gentrified. And that to be honest, you could pick those people up and put them in any gentrified area, and they'd probably be absolutely happy. But then you have people who are looking at the Jewellery Quarter and saying, well, that's fine, but actually there's still a lot of grit around here.
Mm-hmm.
There are industrial factories. There are stampers, and I don't even know all the right terms for all the things that the jewellers and the manufacturers do, but that's what the area was built on. I think we've got different views in terms of what people want this area to be. It's hard to stop gentrification. It's really hard once it gets onto a roll, and there are those around here who would happily say stop, take your properties and go. But actually, the world isn't that simple, and without people around, where does the retail come from? Where does the economic survival of the area come from? We're too close to the city centre to think that it was never going to ripple out, consume us, and it will continue beyond. You know, we can't pretend that we're in an industrial park miles from anywhere. You know, it's...
And there's from the business perspective, there's the growing multimedia, particularly lots of IT-based businesses here. There's a big creative and design sector, highest concentration of architects in the West Midlands. We've got engineers here as well, and then there's the ecosystem of the jewellery industry, and so it's just layer upon layer of each has their own aspiration. Thankfully, as some jewellery businesses change, they're potentially vacating space, which the creative industries actually really want. They want character and lots of natural light and things like that. And it's no coincidence that the two are here. But addressing their concerns, so creative industries will, with the kind of the millennials, means that they want to be able to walk to work, and it's not a kind of a 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. job. It's all a bit fuzzy around the edge. Want the cafes and the pubs and bars nearby.
And everywhere they go, they want decent Wi-Fi.
Decent Wi-Fi, high-speed internet, places to go and sit and have your lunch when thankfully it's sunny outside. And then the jewellery industry starts work at 7 a.m. and finishes at 4 p.m. If not before. They obviously in some parts of it need to get heavy goods vehicles in. They potentially make a lot of noise and a lot of vibration. But then the other side of the jewellery industry wants high footfall on the high street because they've got shops,
got things to sell,
and they want. Well, they are a local centre for jewellery retail, but that's a big asset that can be grown further and become really important. And designer making is a big part of the future of the jewellery industry from the research that we've done.